Well, good evening, everybody. I'm going to give it here a couple minutes before we go into our live stream tonight. Welcome, everybody. This is just a background. I'm not in my house. It's just a background. So this is a beautiful house in the back. So good evening, everybody. Glad to be here tonight. I want to welcome you wherever you may be watching us from. This is Stand Up, Fight Back, where we discuss strategy analysis for the progressive movement. I am here in Los Angeles, California tonight. We're running late tonight because of an event that I had to attend. So I was not able to start the broadcast at 7 o'clock as we had mentioned. We do apologize for not being able to be with you the past couple of weeks. I had some health issues and also some big news that I became a grandparent. So I have now, in addition to my family, a beautiful baby girl, Chloe, and she just brings so much delight, so much light, so much love, so much everything into our lives. A beautiful baby girl. It is true. This is my first time. I'm becoming a grandparent for the first time, so it is something special. You that have grandchildren, you know what I'm talking about. Just the fact that you're able to hold your baby's baby, that in itself is such a treat. So my family is very happy. We are thankful for our little one, and of course, my thoughts goes to all those mothers for that. Always give so much for the children. And I'm sure that my daughter will be a good mother to little Chloe. So that's one big announcement in my life. And she brought so much to me because I have been struggling with my health. I have issues with my lungs, and it's been difficult at times, but we're moving forward. I'm doing a lot better today. I'm able to actually, for the first time in literally like 2 months, I didn't have to hook myself to a machine because that's what I have to do. But, all of us face struggles in our lives. All of us have to deal with something. And my struggle happens to be my health at times when, I have issues again, my breathing, very, very severe asthma that sometimes it really makes you think whether your breath is going to be the last breath you're going to take. A very hard situation to be at times, but I have put my trust in God, and I'm a believer. I'm a man of faith, and I put my life in His hands, and I'm here. I push myself like many of you do. If we start paying attention to our illnesses and to all the huge mountains that are in front of us, we never get to do anything. So it is important that we push ourselves when we need to. I know that for me, that's what I have to do. If I stay inside of the room in my bed, I'm just only going to get worse. So I have to literally push myself to do things in order for my lungs to be expanding and working. The minute that I sit down on that couch and listen to me, some of you that just recently retired, don't sit down on the couch. Get up, get involved, do something. The worst things that we can do, especially if we have illnesses, if we have things that are, restricting us from things, we have to make an effort to get out of the couch, get out of bed, be mobile, do things. That's what helps me. I tell you, sometimes it's very difficult because I just cannot breathe. The asthma is so severe, and sometimes the inhalers don't even work. I have my inhalers, and sometimes they don't work. And, I have to rush to the hospital, get shots, and get treated. But I have to push myself. And some of you know exactly what I'm talking about, because if we pay attention to what our bodies are telling us you're done. Stay home. That's it. You're good for nothing. If we start paying attention to that, we become exactly that. So I, have been pushing myself all my life to make sure that I'm mobile. I'm doing things. I activate my body. I expand my lungs. Do whatever I need to do to keep pushing forward. And I say all that to encourage some of you that have medical challenges. I know it's difficult. I know it's difficult for some of you. Very difficult for some of you. But you gotta keep pushing. You gotta get up. You gotta get mobile. If there's something I can tell you is that this is what kept me going. And sometimes I do a little bit too much. I have to admit. Sometimes I have to tell myself, Carlos, you need to slow down because you're also killing yourself if you don't. So there has to be a line that I have to draw, but at the same time, I have to push myself. And so again, I say all that because the last couple of weeks, we have not been consistent with our broadcast. And I want to make sure that we are here for you, that we continue to talk about the issues that you care about. So I'm here tonight, happy to be here. I'm delighted to be here because I know that I talk to a lot of you and we share information. We know what's going on in our communities. We see the struggle of the people. And this is why we're here, is because we want to be able to address the struggles of the people. We want to be able to talk about the things that are really bothering our communities, that are hurting our communities. And it gets real sometimes. I mean, let's face it, it's very, very difficult sometimes for a lot of people out there, for our communities. We see what's going on. We see the struggles that many of our neighborhoods are facing. We see the poverty that continues to grow. More people are experiencing poverty. There used to be a big fight for 15 for you raise the minimum wage to $15 an hour. Well, some of the stuff that we are hearing, even from some of our union brothers and sisters, is when they enter into these campaigns to raise wages, when they finally actually get the contract, they realize that what they fought for is not enough. It's not enough. And some of the big victories that we recently saw with some of the unions, that's what some of the members are saying. Is like, we fought, yes, we got what we wanted, but it's not enough. We're talking about $20 an hour. That's not livable wages anymore. $30 an hour is not livable wages anymore. According to some of the people that actually look at these things in a more realistic way, they look at all the facts of the struggling working class. Minimum wage should be at least $45 an hour in today's economy. $45 an hour, which, 5 for 15, that's been left behind a long time ago. $20 an hour is not enough. $30 an hour is enough. We got to be fighting for $45 an hour. See, people say, well, that's not realistic. Well, it's not realistic what they do to us. Corporations have no problem raising the price on anything, and they do it at will. They raise the price of eggs, not $1, not $2, sometimes $5. Look what they do with the gasoline and many other items. Today, you cannot go to the store and buy the same groceries that you used to buy for $100 a year ago. You're going to have a lot less in your bag. Today, you cannot fill your tank with the same amount of gas that you used to fill even 4 years ago. It's ridiculous. It's bad. And the list, you could go down the list, line by line, item by item, of all your expenditures, and we are paying more now and getting a lot less. So we cannot say that, companies are paying us livable wages because the fact of the matter is, and the reality that we live in, is that whatever we get paid nowadays is not enough. I don't understand how people even make it today with families, with the cost of transportation, the cost of clothing, the cost of food, and on and on and on. And you have to just look at the expenses on your car, where you have to pay for your car. Excuse me. You're talking about registration, gasoline, the wear and tear on your automobile. You have to find parking, and most of the parking today is not free, so you have to pay for parking. I mean, the privilege of being able to drive a car today is ridiculous, because really people drive cars here in LA because out of necessity. It's like you have no choice because how everything is so spread out. But all that costs a lot of money, and that's just on transportation. I remember when I used to live in Lancaster, about an hour and a half away from Los Angeles, and I used to work in Hollywood. I was spending something like $400 a month on gasoline alone, and that was back, 8 years ago, 10 years ago. Now it's even worse. So when you start looking at the cost of everything, I don't understand how people make it. It's difficult. We are seeing in our food banks more people coming there. We're seeing people that actually have jobs coming there. They depend on the food banks to be able to make up for what they are not able to get with their checks. And those, my friends, are the reality of the things that people are living today, the people that are facing, the people that have to deal with things in their lives. And, we're not even talking about things that happen in life, unexpected, expenditures, emergencies that rises up. And those are not even included in, when you fill out, where you're going to be spending your money. You cannot squeeze a dollar into that item, that line item for emergencies, because people cannot save money anymore. We haven't been able to save money, I don't know for how long. I mean, it would be nice if people had enough money to put a few dollars for a rainy day, but people cannot do that. They can't. It's not that they don't want to, they just can't. So poverty continues to go on the uptrend. More people are falling into poverty. The people that used to be poor, now they are living in extreme poor conditions. And those people that were considered middle class, now they struggle as well. And I'm saying all this because, the things that we are facing right now are very real. And we know that, unfortunately, a lot of these things have to do with politics, with the way our politicians have failed to represent us and have pretty much stuck it to everybody. And, the people have a lot less now. We have more technology, we have more advancements in society as a whole, but the advancements have not come to the working class. The rich, as they have been, as we always have said, the rich become more richer, the powerful become even more powerful, and the poor continues to be pushed down the hole. Unfortunately, to many people, it's not reversible. Where they have fallen are very steep, very deep holes of poverty that that is hard to get out of, even if they wanted to, because the system that we have makes it so hard for people to even exist. That's the reality. And again, Washington have failed us. And we see the fight that goes on in Washington for power. And unfortunately, and I have to say it like this, both sides have failed us. Both sides have failed us, and both sides continue to make the same, not only mistakes, but the same. They continue to make the same promises that delivers very little to us. We can take issue after issue of the things that are affecting the working class. And I can tell you right now that issue after issue, we have not been able to overcome them, and things are just getting worse for people. And this is why people are upset. This is why people hate politics. This is why they hate politicians, because of the fact that they are seeing that they have been left so behind, and that, Washington is not working for them. Washington is not delivering for the people. And what we see dominating the news is not conversations from politicians fighting who could do better for us. But what we are seeing is nothing but drama, scandals, corruption, and the hate, and the list goes on and on. That's what we are seeing in the news. We see politicians like Green, Congressman Green, that all the media, and I'm talking about all the media, have given her so much airtime that her voice has been dominating the airwaves. A woman that has nothing to offer. Yet this is who the media is surrounding and giving all the time to. Meantime, our communities are struggling really bad. But she's not alone. There's the other ones. Look at all this mess with Trump. For crying out loud. How can anyone even consider this man to support this man after everything he has done to our nation and dragged all of us through all this mess? And he wants 4 more years. And people are supporting this guy. 72%, according to a recent poll, 72% of Republicans still support Donald Trump. That tells you everything. That literally tells us everything. The state of mind of the people. That tells us how blinded we are, how misled the people are, how out of touch people have become with realities. And if you look at where, the people that got polled by this, the Republicans, of course, red states, when you look at their state, they start suffering big time. But they continue to support this same kind of people. And I'm not saying that Democrats have it together, because they don't. They don't either. But when we see, the level of corruption, when you see what's dominating the conversations in Washington, the court cases about, paying somebody off to keep them quiet, about Supreme Court judges that are receiving all this money, all these gifts from billionaires and taking all kinds of perks from them, and yet they cannot get in there and find solutions for the issues that are destroying our nation. Something's wrong with that picture. We have fallen so bad, idolizing a man that is being indicted, that has history. And I'm talking about see, this is why I don't want. It just blew my mind when this man won and got to sit in the White House. A guy that full of hate, a guy that has nothing to offer, made the country worse. And again, people are happy with that or are satisfied. They want more of that. How can that even be? Over 1 million people die to COVID because this guy didn't take COVID serious. Remember, he said that it was a joke. It was just made up. Over 1 million people died, people. And you're still going to support this guy under his watch. So, see, those are the things that we should be alarmed about. You know, I understand that we have to hold people accountable, but there's, you know, when we talk about holding people accountable, we must include the media. And I'm talking about all the media accountable, because where their focus of attention is put. Because we have very serious problems in our communities, because we have, you know, politicians that are abusing power and they don't hold them accountable, and they follow after, again, this woman that every crazy thing that comes to their mind she says, and they'll, you know, put him out there giving her the mic. Those are the things that troubles me, and I'm sure that it troubles you, because this kind of stuff should not even exist right now. Giving her that level of, and others, that much of attention, it's just mind-boggling. It just blows my mind how much attention they give to people that are bringing no solutions to the things that we are facing. You know, we have the mess with Fox News. There is all the evidence that they knew that a lot of the claims that they were bringing about regarding the election were false, but they decided to still, you know, say what they wanted to say. And again, you know, these are the people that influence the nation. And this is why you have all these MAGA people, all these Trump supporters, you know, still thinking that the election was rigged. And as a Bernie Sanders supporter, I tell you, look, we know what they did to Bernie Sanders, what some of the Democrats did to Bernie Sanders. We know that. But we continue to push forward. And yes, I don't believe that our elections are perfect, and I don't believe that you know, a lot of things that they do are correct and right. I know that they manipulate a lot of these things by passing laws that prevents a lot of people from voting, redistricting, you know, pretty much mapping out different areas. All those things, both parties do. Both of the parties do that. And that is so that they can remain in power. But the problem that we have is that it doesn't matter which one ends in power, we still have the same results. We still have the same results. Now, all we hear from Republicans is saying, oh, look, we are a lot worse now. We are a lot this and that. We've been a lot worse for a long time, even when they were in power. There's a thing right now regarding the debt ceiling. You know, the debt keeps rising. And the only solutions that Republicans can come about is to cut spending. But the kind of cutting they want to do are the cuts that affects the working class. They never talk about cutting all the benefits that the billionaires are having and the corporations are having. They protect them. But again, the debt has risen to the levels that it is today because of both parties. That's the reality. But we must underline that under Donald Trump, the debt rose to historic numbers never seen before. So Republicans don't want to talk about that. But yet right now, again, there's a possibility that, things may get worse and they need to settle what they're going to do regarding the debt ceiling, whether they're going to most likely raise it up again. The problem is that for the Republicans, it has to have conditions. They need to be able to cut spending. They never say that. They never mentioned that when they were in power. But now that they are not in power, all of a sudden, they become fiscal responsible. They very responsible, and they are watching everything. Hypocritical to the max. But it's nothing new with Republicans, because this is what they have done always, and they will continue to do that. The fact of the matter is that they have nothing to offer. They have absolutely nothing to offer. They have never had anything to offer. And, we are seeing the kind of policies, just as an example so that you can see exactly what I'm talking about. All you have to do is look what's happening in Florida. This is where Governor DeSantis is pushing for the ultimate Republican agenda. And every single policy that they push, again, is not for the working class. It's to benefit the rich, the ultra-rich, corporations. And if corporations stand in their way, then they will do what they're doing with Disney. But that's another story in itself. And it's really interesting one, because, what we are seeing there has a lot to do with the culture war that DeSantis has brought about, and is pushing really hard. They say that they are not prejudiced, but they are. They say they are not anti-Black, but they are. They say they are not anti-Hispanic, but they are. They say that they are not anti-immigrant, but they are. They say a lot of stuff, but the fact is that they have a very hateful and very racist agenda. The Republican Party does. And they hide behind the cross, behind the Bible, behind church, behind religion, and they hide behind the flag. And that's what they do. And I tell you, I see right through them. And I think a lot of people does now. They realize how Republican Party uses the church. And you want to call yourself a conservative. You want to call yourself a pro-life, but yet you have policies that kills, that destroys, that steals. A reminder of a scripture that tells us that the thief, meaning the devil, comes nothing but to steal, kill, and destroy. And if you look at the Republican agendas, that's exactly what is happening. They take from the poor. They steal from the poor. They destroy our communities. And they hide behind the Bible. I cannot comprehend. And again, I'm speaking here for myself, because as a former pastor of a church, how can you stand in there behind the pulpit and fight for guns and talk about guns like you're talking about, like you're talking about the cross? It just contradicts each other. Guns and God don't mix. It's totally against the scriptures. But yet, this is the things that so-called Christian conservatives push for. They fight for it with everything they have. They want their guns, and they do anything for their guns, regardless of who is being killed. And yet on Sundays, they're out there in church praising God. Tell me, explain that to me. Please explain, somebody please explain that to me. How can you, on one side of your mouth, praise God, and the other one are demanding guns? That's a contradiction in itself. Guns and God don't mix. Anyone else that is telling you that it does, you need to check your religion. But we don't have to even stop at guns, because we see exactly what these so-called lifers, cry about. They want to fight for the unborn, but they let the born die. Explain that to me. Jesus explained that to me. How can you even call yourself a Christian and you're pushing the poor to the side? Those people that on the Bible, it says for you to go on the highways and byways and compel them to come in. But they do the opposite. And then on Sundays, you're out there praising the Lord. See, something is wrong with that. So, again, I'm bringing all this up because our attention have been in the wrong things. We are there praising ourselves. We are there elevating men, or one man, in this case, Donald Trump. They see him as God. As a matter of fact, Green compare him to Jesus. And if people are not paying attention to that, dude, something's wrong with you. It's become a cult in itself. But again, I'm saying a lot of this stuff because the real issues that we should be talking about and getting involved with and having strong conversations about and finding solutions are not being talked about. Solutions are not being found because they're not looking for solutions. So right now, Republicans in Congress have a very thin majority. I think it's four members that they have that gives them the majority. Nothing is going to get done. If anybody thinks that something's going to get done, nothing will get done. And they're in control. They are in control. But so it was the same way when Donald Trump was in office. Or again, I'm going to use some Democrats were in office. We talk about immigration. We talk about those same issues year after year, decade after decade. We've been talking about the housing crisis for such a long time, and we still have no solutions. There's still no solutions to the housing crisis. And things get worse to worse to worse to worse. And stop dreaming, thinking that Republicans have all the answers, because they don't. And stop dreaming because you think Democrats have all the answers, because they don't either. What we need to do is stop politicizing all these issues and deal with it as a national crisis. And I guarantee you, if you were to take away healthcare from representatives, from Congress and from the Senate, if you were to take away some of the fringe benefits that they have, they will be passing and they will be finding solutions for the healthcare crisis that the people live in. If you take away some of those perks from them, if you were to pay them minimum wage, instead of all those thousands of dollars, hundreds of thousands of dollars that they get paid, plus fringe benefits, plus all these other benefits, I tell you, if you were to take that away from them, they will be passing laws that will lift people out of poverty because they themselves will become poor. And the fact why they don't do that is because they are well taken care of. They have no problem passing new recommendations to raise their wages. And we see that happen all the time. Congress went and raised their wages $12,000, just like that. Didn't even blink. No one fights for it or against it. They just go and do what they need to do for themselves. And that's the kind of stuff that's been happening for such a long time. And this is why we have no action coming from both parties, is because, again, they have been well taken care of. They taking care of themselves. And the people become second. There are a few, don't get me wrong, there are a few that have been in there in the trenches fighting for the people. But they are a very minute number of those people, of those legislatures that have been fighting really hard in behalf of the people. Unfortunately, the majority don't care. They act like they do. They talk the talk, But if you don't kiss their ring, you're not going to get nothing. And again, they are kissing corporations' rings. This is where they get all their funding from. And that's who the priority is, making sure that they are taken care of, while the people continue to struggle and fall back further into poverty. So again, we have a lot of stuff happening right now, and we are happy to announce that I'm working right now to be able to bring to you, through our Sundays podcast, some teaching, I'm going to call it educational clinics that we're going to be doing in how to organize. We're going to be inviting some of the great organizers that will, take us step by step, how they doing things, how they are being effective. Because the ones that are really being effective are, our community leaders, our grassroots leaders. They are not waiting on the government to take care of their communities. They're out there fighting for the communities, doing what they need to do to make sure that the communities are taken care of. So we want to hear from them. So our announcement will be that, again, we are going to be inviting very soon. I'm working on a schedule and have educational clinics on organizing, grassroots organizing. How do you build a food pantry for the community? How do you organize a town hall meeting, for example? How do you handle situations where there is a lot of issues that is affecting your children, including issues at school? Who do you talk to? How do you put together a campaign to pressure your school board? All those things, I think that are important for us to learn how to do it as a community from the ground up, so that we can bring some changes about to our communities, because we can no longer wait in our politicians to do that for us. We cannot wait for them. And they won't do it. The simple truth is that they don't have it in them to do it. But I think that if we organize, from the ground up, we organize our communities, we do what we need to do. We have the ideas. I know that resources are very scarce and sometimes they're not there. And that's what really holds us back from doing a lot of things. But coming together and begin to learn how to organize, how to mobilize, that's what's going to help us to be able to push the people's agenda forward. And we are going to see results. Why? Because we are in control. We're no longer waiting on Washington or Sacramento or anywhere else, any other form of government, to do things for us. We can do it ourselves. And I know that they don't like that because it makes them look so inefficient. It makes them look, well, they're actually not doing their jobs. So we pretty much expose them, because when people have to do that for themselves, they look really bad. And then you start wondering, why are these people getting paid all that money for if they failing to do their job? And that's a legit question that we need to really ask. Why do they get paid so much money and they don't get the job done? So instead of us fighting against each other, what we need to do is come together, and we need to start talking like people that care for people, because we do care for people. I find more people out there, really, they want to do something about the unhoused community. They really want to do something. They just don't have the resources, or they don't have no one guiding them on how they can do, or what they can do to help their community. They see the same guy sleeping in the same corner day in and day out, and then another guy moves in, and this is why they get upset, because they're saying nothing is being done. But if we begin to start getting together, we begin to put our own ideas together, our resources, we can get those people off the streets. And shame of our government that spend billions of dollars doing nothing. They have nothing to show for. So I think that the time has come. The time is here. The time is now, when we have to start organizing our communities. But before we even organize the communities, we need to start learning to talk to each other. We need to start conversating with each other, not at each other, as they want us to do. They want us to be against each other. They want us to be fighting one another. But we are wise enough to see that, to understand that that's not who we are. We don't love someone we don't hate somebody just because they're poor. We don't hate somebody just because of the color of the skin, or where they go to church, or whether they don't go to church. Those things should not matter. What we need to do is take care of people, period. Regardless of what political background they're in, regardless of who they worship, we need to take care of our communities. We need to bind together. And that comes when we begin to take the step and say, I'm going to talk to my neighbor. Why am I mad at him for? He's a Republican, or he's a Democrat. They put all these labels on us instead of coming at, hey, Jim, how you doing? Oh, I'm not going to talk to him. He's a Democrat, or he's got a Trump flag out there. We need to grow up, people. We need to look people in their eye, and everybody has to get up the same way. We roll out of bed, we put one shoe at a time. We have to go to work, and we have to do all those things. We are in the same boat. It's not like, like because you, a certain, religion or a certain, political party affiliation, that you're better than someone else. You're not. Anything that can come down to us, any illness could come and bring you to your knees. You could be riding high today. You could have the best job today, and the job may not be there for you tomorrow. So get off the high horse. And I said that very sweetly, okay? Get off the high horse. Be level-headed. Understand that life is difficult for all of us. And if it's not difficult for you, be glad about it. But don't think for a moment that life will be beautiful to you every single day, because it may not. And if you are mean to people, the time may come when you may need somebody, and you mistreated people so bad, it's going to be tough. You're going to have a tough time. So that goes even within families. So I want to get a little deeper in there because, when we start talking about relationships, when we start talking about talking with each other, some of the biggest problems we have is at home, where there's so much division at home. People are not even talking to each other. Parents are not talking to the children. Children are not talking to their parents. Children are not talking to each other, to the brother and sister. We have all these problems at home. That's where it starts. Parents, looking down at their kids because, maybe have a different sexual preference. And then all of a sudden you stop talking to them. That's your child. I'm sorry, but that's your child. And if you're only going to love your child because, he walks a straight line, then something's wrong with you. If you don't love your child because he happens to get off the straight line, or because something happened and he makes some wrong decisions, if you could only love your child because he's a good kid, but when he's bad, you don't want to talk to them, something's wrong with you, parents. And again, I tell you, serving as a pastor in a church, I saw a lot of that stuff. I saw so much conflict. People used to come with all kinds of problems, marital problems, family problems, children in crisis, suicidal kids, because the way things are happening at home, So this is bringing it down, all the way down, folks. Yes, we have problems in our communities, but we got problems at home. And I'm telling you this with a lot of love and a lot of respect, because homes are having a difficult time. Families are having a difficult time right now. Children feel left out. And they're constantly being, talked down at. And the expectancy level of how they're supposed to be is way high when they have, so much against them. It is hard being a teenager right now. I remember when I was a teenager, we cannot compare the things that were happening back then and the challenges that we used to have, the problems that we used to have. We cannot compare with the things and the challenges that today's teenagers are facing. It is difficult, people. It is difficult for them. I talk to them all. I love talking to young people. I just love talking to young people because they will tell you like it is. And they're hurting. I can tell you this right now. The other day, a couple months ago, I was driving here near downtown, and I saw a kid literally over the rail ready to jump off the freeway in one of the bridges right there. It was a hard thing to see. I made a U-turn, I pulled over, and I approached him very cautiously, slow. It was one of those situations where you don't want to be in. The kid is already on the other side of the rail. All he had to do is let go and jump off the freeway, off the bridge to the freeway. And I saw him, and he looked pale. There was no light in him. And I approached him very slowly, just calm, talking to him. Son, it's okay. What's your name? What's your name? And then I got really close, and then I grabbed him, and I was able to hold him. And I held them tight. I held them tight for, I don't know, 4 or 5 minutes. And just tell them, it's okay. It's okay. That's somebody's kid. And our kids today are hurting really, really bad, people. And we have parents that don't want to talk to their kids. Come on, parent. Come on. So your son is gay? You're going to stop talking to him because he's gay? You going to stop talking to your child because she made a mistake and she got pregnant or whatever the issue is? Come on, people. These are your kids. And so many of our youth that are out there living on the streets, living in a tent, they come from good families. I know because I talk to them. And a lot of them have the same thing in common. They broke their relationship with their parents. I don't know what went wrong. And I'm not just trying to blame the parents because I know that, look, I have 4 kids. They're all grown up. I know it's difficult being a parent. I know that there is so many times you want to do things and you fail as a parent or you just don't have what it takes, what is needed at the moment to be able to help your child. I understand all those things. But we got to keep trying. We got to find ways. We got to find, this is what I was talking about. We got to talk to each other. Because what happens when we talk to each other, we start learning from each other. I may have something that worked for me when I was dealing with a crisis with my son, right? I might have done something right. And sometimes that's what someone else may need to hear. Share your experience with somebody. And what happens is all of a sudden these people start saying, I never thought about that. Maybe I need to try that. There's a lot of things that we need to try, people. A lot of things. There are conversations that need to be had. We need to have conversations about things that we don't like to talk about. I see everybody now, and that's including me. What do? We're on the phone all day long, right? We're eating with people, and what are we doing? We're eating with the family. Everybody's distracted. I'm not saying that everybody that we're doing everything bad, but there's a lot of things that we need to improve. So everything starts at home, and yes, sometimes it may be difficult, especially when there are walls between our homes that are separating us. It gets difficult. If the wife is mad at the husband is mad at the wife, children are between, they see all that. All those are real problems that affects them. They hear the conversations, they hear the fights because you don't have enough money to buy food, and we know that your kid needs clothes and this and that, and you're trying to work as hard as you can, but it's not enough, and the pressure is on you. I know that feeling, folks. And that's the feeling that you have, and it feels, it's hurtful, and you feel lonely sometimes, and you don't know what to do, and you go get another job, and then the other job is taking a lot of time that you should be spending with your kid, and you can no longer spend the time with your kids as you would like to, and all of a sudden, you're being looked at as you don't care about your kid because you're not there for the little league games or whatever. You're not playing with your kid because you don't have time because now you're working 2 jobs. I get all that. I understand that. I used to leave my house when it was dark and come back when it was dark. Work long hours. I get all that. It's hard, people. I'm not saying that it's easy. It's hard. But, we can start by doing a lot of stuff and examining ourselves, see where we at as an individual, and take a good inventory. And look, people, sometimes we have done so bad in our relationships that they may not trust us. Your kid may not trust you. Your wife may not trust you. Your husband may not trust you. But that doesn't mean for you not to try. Check yourself. Improve yourself. Let your works do the talking for you. People don't want to hear, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. No, just do it. Show them by your works, by how you're treating people, how you're responding, How you now, when they talk to you, you putting the phone down, you're looking them in the eyes and you're paying attention to them. And you don't have to have all the answers. But you could start improving on little things. Those little things are huge when it comes to relationships and changes that need to take place. So we start at home, we bring some changes, and we need to have some clinics on even on parenting. Because if we are going to be effective community organizers and leaders, and we want to clean up our communities, we need to clean home. We need to know how to handle ourselves. We need to make sure that our children are safe, are being taken care of, are being protected, that we're doing everything that we possibly can to assist them and to be there for them. So before we try to conquer the world, we need to conquer ourselves. We need to work with our families. We need to start talking to our neighbors. The neighbors start talking to the block. We begin to bring everybody together. You see how all this is domino effect. And all of a sudden we start seeing results, starting in our own lives. Starts with me. It starts with you. And then so it begins, the trajectory of changes by examining ourselves, by examining our homes, by checking out our neighbor, by greeting them, looking them in the eye, call them by their name. Put away all this Republican, Democrat stuff. All that is distractions. His name is Jim. Her name is Doris, or whatever their name is, and we respect them for that. I don't care whether they go to church or not. I don't care if they're Muslim, if they're Buddhist, or whatever they want to worship. Doesn't matter. Those are things that are irrelevant. You're not better than them. Because you go to church on Sunday, is that what makes you better? So again, look, the reality is that we have a lot of work to do in our communities. And these podcasts are presented to you so that we can improve our lives, so that we can, stand up and fight back. But standing up and fighting back, again, starts with us. When we actually begin to stand up for ourselves, for our families, for our neighbor, for our community, for our city, for our state, for our nation. That's how it works. It works because we have seen it happen when people begin to do those things. You have been watching Stand Up, Fight Back, where we discuss strategy and analysis for the progressive movement. We are with you every Sunday. We thank you for being with us, for sharing the videos. Next week, we are having a guest. And want to remind you that coming up on May 25th through the 28th, the Democratic State Convention will be held here in Los Angeles. We are going to be making an announcement regarding the Bernicrats conference party that we are going to be having. And location details are going to be following soon. I'm working with other community organizers, progressive organizers and leaders to be able to put together a nice dinner party that we'll be having during the convention in the month of May 25th to 28th. Most likely our convention party will be held on the 26th or the 27th during that convention period of time. It is an exciting time because you have delegates coming from everywhere. We have a chance to meet some of the community leaders, some of the people, the movers and the shakers. It is a good time for us to talk about the issues that are affecting our communities and put some pressure on these politicians. And, it's also a good opportunity for us to engage, these issues and the policies that are being pushed. But again, May 25th through the 28th, we are going to be making announcements regarding a Bernie Crat dinner party that we're going to be having on the 26th or the 27th. Details are coming hopefully by next week, but we'll have the full details. But right now, a committee is being put together so that we can go ahead and organize that and be able to have a great time. We always have a great time when we come together. There's a lot of fun, and you get to see a lot of people that you haven't seen for a while, and just be able to share, the things that we have in common, and that is the love for community. And that's what we're all about. That's what this program is about, is love for community. We are here in Los Angeles today. I will soon be traveling to other states with my work. As you know, I am the National Director for Food for Health Programs for AIDS Healthcare Foundation. And my job there is to create food programs to alleviate and address food insecurity. I am so grateful for that job because it has allowed me to meet so many people throughout the United States that are really doing a tremendous work in their communities, and learn a lot from them, but also being able to create food programs that are now literally helping thousands of people. So it is an honor, a privilege. I am forever thankful for the foundation that put their trust in me to be able to do this job, and for my colleagues that work very hard, Isaac, Tara, Mauricio, many others, and the entire AIDS Healthcare Foundation Public Health Division that have stood with us, making sure that we have everything we need to get the job accomplished. So we're going to be making some announcements regarding that as well, some of the changes that we are seeing, some of the new programs that are being developed. But it's very exciting to be able to have a job helping people. How great is that? I mean, it doesn't even feel like a job. I can literally do this every single day for free because this is what we love to do. And again, thank you for sharing the videos. Hope to see you soon. Hope to see you at the convention on May 25th through the 28th. Hope you could come to our Bernie Crat party that we're going to be holding here in downtown Los Angeles. So again, good night from Los Angeles. Take care of yourself.